And so we come to treaties. He shall have power by and with the advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur. And the treaty I always use is the North American Free Trade Agreement. It was started by it was signed by President Bill Clinton. And I highly suggest watching this. Again, I can't show you YouTube videos on YouTube because I'd get copyright strikes and the channel would be taken down. And then how would I communicate with you? I'm sure you'd all be very upset about that. That one too. So this is a picture of the Senate that passed NAFTA. So NAFTA was a real highly contentious agreement, just in brief. It allowed for a free trade zone between us and Canada and Mexico, and there were a lot of questions about it. Would it bring jobs to the United States? Well, it didn't really. Would it help the economy? Well, it didn't really. Is it good for American workers? Well, kind of, sort of. See, the problem here is we had the best economy at the time between us and Canada and Mexico. We still do, but there was a bit of an imbalance. More than a bit. There was an imbalance, especially with Mexico. It was cheaper to make and pay workers down there than it was in the United States or Canada to get the goods we needed. But that's my take on it. You of course, read, do your own research on it, come to your own decision. So it passed the Senate 61-38, so it got there. Nominations and appointments. And he shall nominate, and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate, shall appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, judges of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States, whose appointments are not herein otherwise provided for, meaning in the Constitution, and which shall be established by law. But the Congress may by law vest the appointment of such inferior officers as they think proper in the President alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of departments. Now, you may think, okay, here we go, we're going to do a Supreme Court nomination. No, we'll save that for when we actually cover the Supreme Court. I'm going to talk to you about an ambassadorial nomination. So this lady is our ambassador to what's formerly called the Court of St. James, which is the United Kingdom. Her name's Jane D. Hartley. She served as our ambassador to France and also to Monaco. Confirmed by the Senate May 25th. She was sworn in 2 days later. As I said, she served also in France and also in Monaco. So she had the experience. We don't tend to... she was also the CEO formerly of this organization called the Observatory Group. It's an advisory firm for economics and politics. She was appointed, obviously, by Biden to London to be the ambassador. This is considered a high-profile ambassadorship. Rome, Paris, Berlin. These are other high-profile ambassadorships. We don't really need people who particularly, she does know what she's doing, but we don't particularly need people who know what they're doing or are seasoned or have a wealth of experience, however you want to say it, in these posts, because we've had stable relations with these countries for such a long time that it's just not needed. The ambassador just runs the show, helps Americans out who maybe are having passport trouble, visa trouble, whatever it is. Oftentimes, I don't know about her. These posts in particular will go to wealthy donors of the incumbent president as kind of a reward, saying thank you for helping to put me in office. So, yeah, diplomatic relations are stable. So we don't need someone, a seasoned State Department staffer of, say, 25 years. We'd put that person in a place like Kenya or the Balkans or somewhere where, things could get a little cantankerous quickly. And this is where she lives. This is a major upside. Winfield House, the U.S. Ambassador's residence in London. It is beautiful. If you Google Winfield House, you can take a virtual tour of the place. And I highly recommend you do, because it is just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Also, the wealthy donor thing, the State Department's budget doesn't adequately fund the facilities or gatherings that these ambassadors are supposed to host in countries like the UK and France and Italy. So the people who get these positions have to, by necessity, be wealthier to keep up that place. I can't possibly imagine what it cost to keep that place operational for even a week. I'm sure it's more than what I make in a year. So these ambassadors or ambassadors to be go before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and these videos are fun. Just in my opinion, I think you'll enjoy them. But I made a mistake that I didn't get a chance to correct. Watch this one first and this one second. This is an example of a hearing that just goes desperately wrong for all reasons that I think will become very obvious to you within 15 seconds of watching. Stuff that goes right gets boring after a while, so why not, watch something that, that goes wrong, let's just say, very quickly. And above it is a link or a video of Anderson Cooper interviewing the late Senator McCain, who was serving on the Foreign Relations Committee at that time. Both of these videos are very much worth a watch. I highly recommend them. And they give you something to think about, too. But again, the copyright rules prevent me from showing them to you on this video. So, recess appointments. The President shall have power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their next session. So that is a recess appointment. So this guy, I ask students every semester who he is. I think my favorite response to date was Abraham Lincoln. He used recess appointments. This is President Eisenhower. I hope you knew that. But presidents have used the recess clause to fill labor boards all the way up to Supreme Court seats. Eisenhower, who you see there, used it to appoint Justice Brennan to the Supreme Court in 1956. I won't say anything more. You should be used to this by now. You know what this means. Eisenhower also used the clause to appoint Chief Justice Warren a few years prior during a Senate recess, and both of those gentlemen did a very good job. Warren and Brennan were two of our most accomplished jurists, I think, to date. And the Senate saw that. They saw they were doing a good job, and they confirmed both of them later on when the Senate was back in session. So, recess appointments can backfire. In 2014, for instance, the Supreme Court overturned 3 of President Obama's recess appointments to the National Labor Relations Board. And, there are a variety of reasons why Senates choose to do that, which we don't really need to get into. But the National Labor Relations Board, that's NLRB. So they said the president, the Supreme Court, had overstepped his constitutional authority. When the Supreme Court overruled President Obama, the Senate got a lot of latitude to decide when it is in recess and when it is not in recess. And that means, we'll get into it in a second, but a recess has to last at least 10 days now before the president can legally make any sort of appointment to the board. Or to not just to the board, but to anything. So, there is a loophole that the Supreme Court approved that the Senate can use to leave town, but stop the president from having free reign over events. And this is called a pro forma session. So what the Senate does is pretty much just stop the president from making recess appointments. What the Senate does, gavel a gift from a former student, is they'll vote for this pro forma session. 3 of them or 4 of them will stay in town, and one of them will act as president, and they'll go like this. The Senate of the United States is now in session. The clerk will call the roll. Senator Parker, here. Senator Peckman, here. Senator Packer, here. Mr. President, everybody's here. Great. There's no business on the agenda. The Senate stands in recess until tomorrow at 8 a.m. All right, I got a little lost here. Let me see. Yep, okay. So the Senate can gavel into session with no legislative business, as I just demonstrated, and claim that it has been in session, because technically it was in session, even though they did nothing. And they can do this for like a really long time. They can take, they can gavel in and out for a long, long while. They can take 20 seconds to gavel in and out, and then they'll come and do it again the next day. So the majority of the Senate is needed to decide to go into a pro forma session, so 51. There is one other legal avenue for the president to fill a recess, to fill an appointment. A president could just name an acting official, like the Attorney General under the 1998 Federal Vacancies Reform Act. The problem with that is it gives him a very thin list of folks that he can consider for a job. He can only appoint people who have already underwent Senate confirmation for another job. So, for example, if the job of Attorney General came open, I can only think of a couple, really. I'm sure there are more that are living, but I can only think of Bill Barr, Jeff Sessions. Merrick Garland wouldn't be in contention because something would have happened that Biden would have needed to replace him. So Bill Barr or Jeff Sessions are the only two that I can... yeah. So Biden would have to choose one or the other because they underwent Senate confirmation for the job. So the State of the Union. He shall from time to time give to the Congress information of the State of the Union and recommend to their consideration such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient. He may, on extraordinary occasions, convene both houses or either of them, and in case of disagreement between them with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he shall think proper. He shall receive ambassadors and other public ministers. He shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed, and shall commission all the officers of the United States. So the president goes in to Congress after he gets an invitation. He goes into the House of Representatives, and he talks about where he thinks the country's at, where he feels the country's at, where he feels the country ought to be. And I'm sure you've seen it. If you haven't, go to YouTube and just type in State of the Union and pick whatever year you'd like. If you haven't seen one, you should watch one. I'm not going to require it, but you really should watch one. Now, this is really for political theater. The president is not required to go into Congress and make this big speech and this big deal the way he does. I'm not entirely sure myself when that started to happen, but I know, for instance, President Jefferson wrote into the House of Representatives, and that was his obligation. That was him fulfilling his duty in the State of the Union. It doesn't have to be anything big. So Article 4, the President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Pretty self-explanatory. There have been 4 impeachment trials. Because this is going to be big when we get to Congress. You have to remember that the House drafts the articles of impeachment, and the Senate tries it. The Senate acts as a jury, and they try the official. It doesn't have to be the president. It can be a federal judge. It can be whoever in federal service. The vice president, the attorney general, they're all subject to impeachment. So, but the point is, the House drafts the articles of impeachment. The Senate tries the articles of impeachment. So there have been 4 trials of sitting presidents in our history: Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and Donald Trump. And those have been our 4. So it's not a common thing that happens. But that is all I have to say. That is the presidency. Now we're going to move on to the War Powers lecture. That still has to do with the presidency, but we're moving on. All right. Thanks, guys.